Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about this law called the law of reverse effort. It's one of those laws that I consider crucial for every player to master if they're trying to release their fullest and truest potential on the court. What this law stands for is that the harder you try, the harder the fall is going to be. And basically means that there's a lot of things in life that we cannot improve by trying harder or putting more effort in. And if the harder we try or the more effort we try to put in, a lot of times all it does is grow the distance between you and that goal or the results that you want so desperately. And so the best way that I can explain this, how it translates to the court, is we have these two different type of players, player A and player B. Player A is that player that always seems like calm, relaxed, has really no attachment to the results or how practice goes or how the game goes. And often, a lot of times, other players consider that player lazy because they just have zero desire to put work in. But when it comes to game time, the coach can always count on them because they perform at a really high level consistently, but they also do it effortlessly. While we have player B, which is the player that is often way more skilled than player A and puts tons of work in, usually 4 to 8 hours in the gym every day, and often is so attached and desperately wanting the results or the goals that they're chasing to happen. And so when it comes to game time, they usually struggle to release all their potential and skills that they have developed over their time of playing basketball. And that's the player that I was most of my career. So there's a few reasons why this happens. And it doesn't have to do with like physical effort. When it comes to physical effort, there's a limit on the amount of physical effort you can do. But when it comes to the mind, that's where this law comes in. The harder you try in your mind to get that results that you're craving so badly, that's going to create the distance between you and the goals that you want. You just have to let them come effortlessly towards you. And a lot of times, player B is in that mindset that I have to do this, I have to have this to get the results or the goals I want. And that's usually why they're constantly putting effort in, because they're thinking that they have to keep getting better to get those results. And what happens is you're creating a continued loop in the mind that I have to have this or do this to get to this type of player that I want to be, instead of just being that player and believing that you're that player. Because player B is in this mindset, but they're not there yet to that level, they're going to always struggle to release their fullest potential because they don't believe that they're good enough or have put enough work in. And obviously, we can always get better and better by putting more work in, but often to release the truest potential and like the fullest potential that you have in you, it's not by trying harder or putting more effort in. It's just by effortlessly being who you are as a player and just let it out. without being desperately to get that results or that goal that you want so bad. And it's not just on the court or in basketball that this matters. This is life too. Some other examples that I can use is relationships are that one guy that has all the girls come to him and he's the cool guy. Usually a lot of times it's because that guy literally has no attachment to the girls liking him. He just lets it be what it is. And that draws a lot of people energy towards him. And so, and another way is like explain it is there's these different kinds of attachments called anxious and avoidant. The anxious is that type of person that chases after the relationship. And the harder that you chase or give that energy that you desperately need it forces that person away that they have a crush on or like or have a relationship with. And so it comes back to this mindset that you always have to believe that you're already are that player that you see yourself being, then it's backed up by hard work. It's not, I keep putting more work in to be that player. If you have that mindset of it being, I'm going to keep putting work in to be that player, you will never be that player if it releases its fullest potential. So it has to be the other way where I am that player that has all the moves in my bag and I can do anything on the court that I want to. Then it's backed up by putting the work in and it releases. So, yeah, back to this law, the law of reverse effort. I think the best way to start mastering this law is start to visualize, but also feel what it feels like to be that player that is just so relaxed and effortless and just believes 100% in themselves at all times and always feels that the results or the goals that they want is already theirs. And one of the greatest experiences I ever had to start figuring out this law was that I spent a whole summer with my dad, and he played professional till he was 42. And so being around him and then also getting to play against other pros, what I learned was almost every pro out there plays at like their own pace and is just like effortlessly making things happen on the court. There's really like no, I gotta desperately make this happen kind of energy in them. It's just pure relax, calm, and every move they do is just effortlessly. And so obviously that comes from putting the work in, but it's also from that mindset that they just have total belief in them. And so some of the best practices to do is start to visualize every morning and every night before you go to bed. Because when you first wake up in the morning and before you go to bed, that's when you actually have the most access to your subconscious mind. And so the more that you visualize and start to feel what it feels like to be that kind of player that just 100% believes in herself and just does everything effortlessly on the court, and you get that into your subconscious, then you're going to start being more like that player every day. But it has to be consistently putting the work in of what it feels like and visualize what it's like to be that player. And then as you start to make it a habit of feeling that way, you're just going to just start doing actions that show that you believe that you're that player. As the more of it you start to feel and act off feeling that way. And so, yeah. So, this is a time to take this knowledge and start to figure out how to master this law yourself so you can release the fullest potential and your truest potential on the court. Thanks for watching.